Assalamu alaikum. Yes, childhood trauma for sure. Now, this is a continuation of what happened when my dad didn't wake me up to go to Mass on Sunday morning. That was an extreme humiliation. It was a punishment, and I knew it. But because I knew I was innocent, I wanted to just go to church myself because I always went to Sunday Mass. No matter what, I never missed it. I think that's why, since I've been a Muslim, I always have to pray the Friday prayer in the masjid, because even though they say it's not for women, I just don't believe that because of the hadith that says, do not prevent Allah's servants, meaning women who are serious, from going into the masjid at any time we so determine we want to go. I know my rights. And I never could understand why women weren't encouraged to pray in the masjid. But anyway, that's another story. It's because they usually have a lot of children, and it would be a task to get the children out. And I do understand. But let's get back to my decision to put on my Sunday best and walk the 2 miles from my house down to the church. Now, I was not in a good mood. I was sad and confused because of what my father had determined was a good punishment for me. It should have been the opposite, to bring me to church, but he was livid. I guess he couldn't control his behavior, so he said, I'm leaving her at home and taking all my brothers. So I'm walking. I was about halfway there, and I do recall that the weather was fine, and I just got a new outfit a couple of weeks before. And so I put on my best new outfit, and I'm walking, and suddenly I see this. I remember it was an Oldsmobile, Olds 88, this big gold Oldsmobile. Those are the cars that were the longest and the heaviest back in the day, coming barreling towards me in the opposite direction. And I lived in a very, very residential area, so cars never sped or never really. You didn't hardly see cars in my neighborhood, except when the men went to work in the morning and then they came home at night, and we never had buses in my neighborhood. And in those days, everything was so quiet. She's barreling towards me. She screeches, slams on the brakes, rolls down the window, and, of course, yells my name. And I just stood there frozen. Now, I hope this is not out of turn or disturbing to anyone, but I want to tell you, that's how I'm going to title it, Another Childhood Trauma. This was a trauma for me. This woman, I didn't have to assume who she was after she already said, you, Diane, whatever, my name. She said, you little, I don't want to use the wrong word, but it's a bad word for a woman or a girl. You better know that if you want to get pregnant, you stay away from my son, or you will be really sorry. Now, a little backstory. I assume because of this, the cops brought Bobby Saccone home. I don't know if they brought him home with my dad or without my dad. I do know that he had just moved to town a year before that, and his parents were divorced. That I did know. And he had one brother, and his mother was a hairdresser from East Cambridge. Now, this is just a little backstory, and I'm not at all this kind of person. I am the last person to be snooty, snobby, or racist. Trust me. But when you hear the word, back in those days, they would say, oh, the Italians from East Cambridge, they were a rough bunch, kind of like mafioso types. And yes, he was Italian. I'm not going to tell you his name, but I don't know how she felt the guts to talk to me like that. Honestly, that's why I say they must have been connected, because she was not a normal, that TV show, The Sopranos? Yeah. She was like one of the Sopranos, and she swore at me and just called me a couple of bad names and sped off. Oh, I remember that feeling. Honestly, that was 65, 75, 76. Yeah, about 12 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was shaking. I was frozen. And then the thing that bothered me the most was when she said, if you want to get pregnant, stay away from my son. And I'm thinking, huh? I mean, my mom was always pregnant. She had like 4 kids in her 30s, 4 kids in her 40s. I kind of knew getting pregnant